All right, I think we're ready to start. Hello, my name is Laurene Sims. I would like to introduce President Roberta Coronado, who is the president of Gallaudet University. Please share your screen. Thank you. Hello. Hi. I want to prepare our discussion and presentation today that will be interactive. Our first goal is to discuss what genuine conversations look like. This conversation is organic. We haven't practiced it. We are sitting down in a cold conversation. This is going to show and explain our truth about the topic. We want to express our unity within the community, the Gallaudet community. Now, with the 3 goals in mind, I'm going to expand on each one. Now, first, let's just discuss the context of it before we start asking questions that may be hard questions. We're going to share our personal journey and experiences, and my personal journey and thoughts on the topic. Then we'll move to very persuasive texts, a nature of systematic racism. And third, we're going to talk about recognizing Black Lives Matter with President Coronado will listen, and she'll be able to ask questions and attend my reflections. And third, we will discuss how Black Lives Matter and the path forward. And we'll be able to engage in a conversation and have some dialogue with one another. And so we have about 1 hour. So we will have a time for a question and answer at the end from our audience. If our time runs out, we will certainly answer those at a later time. Also, Bobby and I will be using our personal names because this is a personal conversation and we want to have an open conversation. So she's Bobby and I'm Laurene. I'm going to share with you my personal journey with my brothers and sisters in the Black community and my family and friends. I want to thank you all for supporting me. I'm very nervous, yes. And I believe Bobby is nervous too. And we're nervous because we know we're at a crossroads. And we need to know the meaning of how this will end. We don't know what the future holds for us. There's been so much work going on, and now we want to address it. So I want to address that fear and anxiety, and that's high. Bobby will comment on what happened in her experience as Gallaudet president, but she'll also share her own experience and process of her personal journey. It's very powerful. We know that certain comments can be taken in different perspectives. So certain statements they are made. There are vlogs about a community where are talking about childhoods and their upbringing. And it's interpreted to engage with us, those vlogs, and listen. And we shouldn't stop disseminating those stories. Those are raw narratives, and we need to see the rawness of those stories. It's a reminder for all of us to remember ourselves and be able to reflect about our personal self. Again, these stories are powerful. People have asked why I haven't shared stories of my childhood, but it's very hard for me to do that. It's a big ask in your heart, and being vulnerable, I know, is hard. The 50s and 70s, 60s and 70s, all the way up till today. Anyway, I want to begin the process, so please don't forget people of color. There's many friends and those in the community. Spanish community, the Asian community, and many other people with different backgrounds that feel this pain and this struggle. Even though we're centering on Black Lives Matter, the pain that also people, we want to address the other backgrounds that have also experienced this pain. I've seen just a variety of people who don't agree with me at this time, but I'm not trying to persuade anyway, so I don't want to worry anybody. I just want to address that we are at a crossroads at this point in time. We also know that social media has a lot of power. Things that can go viral, really, it's really easy for things that go viral to destroy someone. My role, for me personally, is to first say, I'm not a token. I think my role is because I have experiences. And I know that I have experienced tokenism. And I want to ask, I've even asked Bobby about her connection because I really wanted to connect with her because I know that we are working tremendously hard to connect with one another. I don't want to try to overlook the issues that are at hand. And so I asked Bobby to please come and discuss with us and help unpack those issues because she is the president of Gallaudet. So please, Bobby, would you do the unpacking of the work? I know it's not easy. Even as we planned this meeting, we didn't rehearse what we wanted to say. In this public conversation a while ago, leading up to this, of where we are today in this presentation, we're not going to be in a reactive mode. And so Bobby didn't pull me in to say, hey, Laurene, you get this in front of me. I want to sort out, and this wasn't the case at all. I know it's a lot of vulnerability to be able to do this and share your experiences. And I can stand on my own 2 feet today. But my heart to ask Bobby to come today and to have a sit down conversation with me because the opportunity was to embody that I'm a teacher at heart. For example, when you are in school and you have the question 2 plus 3 is 5, the teacher will say again, let's go back to basics. Let's make sure that we repeat the lesson again. And that really, also in the spirit of being a teacher, I wanted to sit down with Bobby and hope that we can arrive at understanding, that we know some people who are ready to cast blame, we need to discuss, and we can't change people that have already made their decision. We've seen some successful conversations, but I know there have been a lot of failures in the past as well. And asking what my motive is. I'm the chief bilingual officer, so I hold a very privileged position and a lot of power. And President Cornendo is the president, but that's not why we're here. I want to retire, and COVID-19 has impacted me. I am at home, even though, but I have my family who are supporting me, even though they're far away, because they love me and they know that I haven't given them a hug since March 13th. There's no motive behind this, and I have nothing to lose. I'm not using this as a powerful tool to persuade anyone or anything like that. I'm really seeking to be a peacemaker. I came to sit here, I actually prayed, because this is one of the most challenging experiences I've had in my professional career. One part of the Gallaudet University, of the individuals there, we do have more international born Black people, but there are those of us who are born in the US as well, but they have the same experiences. When it comes to racism, particularly between the Black people, we of course want to talk about that. Our cultural experiences as well that we have experienced in school and different agencies. They're families to us. All my life I had experience with different interpreters, and we're always asking for credentials. We're asking for people's background to see if they're strong and they've studied culture in their work. This work, of course, as well as bilingualism. I'm not here to be in a defensive position. We all need to continue to work together. And I'm not trying to stir the pot in any way. I'm sure people will still be in opposition, but I want to tell you myself that this is honest truth. When I struggle seeing Black Lives Matter and George Floyd, the officer who was kneeling on his neck, really had a large impact on me and many Black people. And in 2013, I remember Trayvon Martin and the outcry from the community on his death. And there have been many incidents, of course, since then that made me think of my own sons and their experiences and potential experiences of racism. But the experience was so triggering to me because it's caused me to be silently mad. If I could just ask one thing for 1 minute, is that we see their inner peace of white people. They're jogging when they're walking, not having to have that fear. I want to experience 1 minute of not having that fear like white people. And so with George Floyd's murder, I absolutely was shocked to see that all over the news and all over responses to that. And not just my family and friends, but many people in the community who are feeling those emotions. Working from a place of being oppressed into very angry and understanding the psychology of that. We actually are within our DNA since the day we were born and the slave trade had occurred. all those experiences all the way until our modern day of 2020. We inherited the very DNA from our ancestors, African American people who had trauma. And to think about those stories of America with enslaved victims. So I'm a descendant of those enslaved Africans. One of the things I have inherited from them is fear and trauma, but that's in part of my DNA. It's in my blood. There's a reason why it's very important to understand how America, people, deaf Black people are born in America. Now moving from DNA to community, to incidences that have shown up recently that will continue to occur. I think this brings me to the end of my sharing on my experience of my personal journey and observation. Many people underestimate the system. That system is very gigantic. It's old and it's hard and it's very smart. This gigantic system, and within the Gallaudet University, from 1984 until now, 64 till now, 2020, there's been a lot of changes. So that's 156 years with very background of all of our lives. Now to discuss the BMDA letter. I love this. I'm a loyal member of NBDA. I've never missed a conference. I invested my time and energy to the college and leadership program. I'm very proud to be a part of that university and of Gallaudet who've been able to participate in that program as well. And you can see some of our leaders now at BSU are actually from that program. And I'm proud of what that pipeline and what effects it can have of leadership. And these youth are now speaking out. It's amazing. That's what empowerment is. But we need to continue and never give up. And so again, I'm a loyal member of this program. And I must admit, when I read the letters there, I was shocked, especially number 7. President Cornando to be removed from her position. I think that is the elephant in the room with NBDA is that we have American born Black deaf individuals like myself, and we are also born internationally born. And our goal is to never give up. We always need to discuss and talk about this, even though it's hard and tensions are rough. We may feel like keeping this all in, but it needs to come out into the light. Kuber Rashad is our current dean at Gallaudet University. I have watched her journey over the years, and she's been a great role model that many of us look up to. People that are members of our community and have people and children in America has also experienced systematic racism. I know some of our members of this community are born internationally. But we would like to see Bobby's perspective on this. And that's just the truth about those individuals out there who are trying to oust her. And these tensions that will exist in the MBDA needs to dwindle. And I am a loyal person, and within my life, I don't want to lose that community and values that I have. I want to see this MBDA for many generations and to continue on. I want the international Black people to come together and move forward, make sure that they are getting their voice heard and continuing to vlog within our community. We need to work together to express these feelings and discuss the struggles that we have and the pain that we experience. And the same is true for international born Black deaf individuals. When people look at us, US born or internationally born, they just see the color of our skin, superficially our race. But there is certain experience of when Black people are born in America and they lived here and grow up here. I ask that we address that, acknowledge that, and generally care. So again, I want to say that the NBDA expressed in our recent open letter said that now in 156 years since Gallaudet was established, we've had 9 presidents that were white men, except for one, a Spanish Latino identified man, and now we have President Bobby. So if I talk to you a little, bear with me because the opportunity to teach a bit is important for me to set up the history and the background on this. Jeff Francis was another president that we had, or Jane Fernandez, who was also removed from office. And then we had a male president, and now Bobby Cornando, and that'd be our 3rd strike. And we also need to recognize the machine that we are creating in the background of our university. We need to realize that women, Black women, and women like Bobby. We also know that Bobby is a white female deaf queer. And if we start here, remember July 13th, 2013. We are here with the Bobby's presidency has begun. And now here we are, June 2020, and Bobby was able to be the president within that time. But we have to recognize that oppression has always been apparent and operating in our campus. Before Bobby was in office, we had many problems throughout the community and campus, and we need to realize that that's the machine. So here I present to you Bobby, who is a deaf woman and that is queer, and that she has come under many scrutiny and hasn't been seen as for her presidency success. This is another example that we can use because there's a flaw in political matters. We know that mistakes will happen, and we also know that Bobby admitted herself that I am racist. We also recognize that the system will tolerate white men and their many flaws and numerous flaws. and they will not be subjected to the same level. What were we doing before the Black Lives Movement? We're going to say, where have all you been? Why haven't you been doing anything? And then I ask myself, where have I been? And instead of pointing our finger at someone else, we need to look at ourselves. I had a lot of fear and a lot of remembering of being numb, which causes us to remain silent. I remember during that time I had a puppet and I couldn't share that my power had been silenced and taken away from me. But you know what the goal is right now is we want to get the white people fired. That they owe us something for our suffering. I get that 100%, and I realize that anger within that's not enough just because someone is white to be racist towards them. There's a photo I want to show you of a dandelion. Here's the photo. So just like the analogy of a dandelion, the machine is self-replicating. This machine of isms, racism, sexism, individuals from their positions of the machine is still operating because that machine is very smart. We may be scared from the experience that Angela had about being demoted from her position. I could make a mistake and then all of a sudden my head is on the chopping block. And we see that all of these people make mistakes where they have flaws. And then there's no compassion or forgiveness. And that's the history of this. There's no room to make errors. And that's been throughout our history. White men, however, have been able to remain their positions, even when errors do occur.